Welcoming everyone to HogvilleNET YouTube Live. We are on live for the first time in a while. This is my post-game reaction. Season opener for both teams. Number 14, Arkansas, put the hammer down on visiting Southern out of the SWAC Conference, 109-77, 32-point win. Arkansas led by as many as 37 points in the second half, led by 25 at halftime. Not a perfect game for the Razorbacks, but what we talked about in our pregame segment yesterday was that, whether Arkansas is at its best, somewhere in the middle, or even have a really poor performance, it was a mixed bag that there should be a blowout win, and that's exactly what it was. Again, the Razorbacks getting it done at home in the season opener at Bud Walton Arena, 109-77 over Southern. Got to ask John Calipari some questions in the post-game presser, trying to, start things off with some positives, and he kind of went to some of the areas of concern. Arkansas's defense defending the three-point line, the fouling, and I think other times, there were times when Arkansas was ball watching, both on perimeter defense, sometimes when there was a chance to secure a rebound. Not that Arkansas didn't win the rebounds tonight, but there were some things that you need to work on. But this was, again, a runaway win. You didn't have Carter Knox, by the way. A toe strain or sprain kept him out of the game, and we know he's Arkansas not only a starter, but a preseason All-SEC pick, Carter Knox. So Billy Richmond III, another, what I say, Arkansas's got 8 starters. Calipari said that tonight in the postgame. But you had Billy Richmond III beginning the game in Knox's spot. But Arkansas, again, established dominance in the paint in this game, plus 20. If you go back to the 2 exhibition season games, the wins over Cincinnati and Memphis, higher quality competition than Southern. No disrespect to the Jaguars out of the SWAC. They did win that league last year, did win 20 games, 15 of those in the SWAC. Predicted to finish first or second in that league again this year. Had at least 6 players that were major contributors last year that returned, and some other key pieces that added. And there were stretches of the game where Southern hung in there, but Arkansas dominating that paint again, plus 20, 48-28 was the final number there. And if you go back to Cincinnati, Arkansas was plus 20 in the paint at the end of that game. And then they were plus 30 against Memphis, 56-26, I believe. So this wasn't quite as good as the interior dominance as it was against Memphis, but still Arkansas, if you count the exhibition games, hasn't had a performance where it's been, less than a 20-point difference in the scoring in the paint. Fast break scoring, Arkansas absolutely dominated tonight. We've been talking about all preseason through the exhibition season how Arkansas is looking to run, get out ahead of the defense in true fast break primary transition. And I continue to say Arkansas is really good in secondary transition as well. Plus 30 there tonight, 32-12. So a lot of that's your paint scoring as well, because you're getting to the end of the court, getting in the paint and finishing at the rim for dunks and layups. And on that fast break. So those two kind of went hand in hand. Arkansas with 10 steals tonight. Also part of that, you getting those live ball turnovers, getting in transition, and helping dominate that end of the court. When you look at it, Arkansas won the turnover battle plus the 3, 12-9. But those 10 steals, so you got live ball turnovers for 10 of the 12 turnovers that you forced. You'd like to see Arkansas with the athleticism and some of the gifts that Arkansas has with their length and their size to do a little better than that. This was a team last year, Southern, as poor as it was in efficiency shooting everywhere as a team last year. It didn't turn the ball over a whole lot, 12.5 per game. So Arkansas got 12 tonight. But this was a dominating performance when you look at the scoreboard, when you look at individual performances. Let's jump to that real quick before we get to the kind of overarching takeaways here at Bud Walton Arena tonight. First of all, individually, Trevor Brazile with a career-high 25 points. He was efficient, 8 of 14 from the field. That included 1 of 3 from 3. You'll take that from TB. But got to the foul line and shot 10 free throws, and he was not very good at the line in exhibition season. Really, nobody was outside of Malik Ewan and maybe 1 or 2 others. But TB was one of those that struggled shooting at the free throw line. But 10 attempts, made 8, 80%. Calipari talked about that in the postgame. So the volume was there. The attempts were there. And I keep talking about how TB's not only a better player, a stronger player, and that he's more willing to deal with contact, but he's actually seeking it out. Because we know that he's going to knock down some threes tonight, only one. We know he's more of an opportunistic scorer. Catch and shoot three off the creativity of the ball movement, getting to him, finding him, soaring in for putback dunks or lobs for dunks or getting out in transition, putback layups. Those kind of things is where he usually cobbles together his 10 to 12 to 15 points. But tonight, 25 points, and what he continues to do, what he did in the summer, what he did in the exhibition season, he's put the ball on the floor, out on the perimeter, and driving into the paint. The game started with Arkansas posting him up and going low to him. And I said, that's really not his game. But Arkansas is working with him and seeing what was there. Now, he didn't make the shot, but what he's really been able to add, in my opinion, to complement the opportunistic scoring is willing himself to the basket. And I thought there were multiple occasions in this game against an inferior opponent where he took the fight, challenging the paint and the rim and the defenders and having his way tonight. But 25 points is part of a double-double, 11 rebounds. We know TB's capable of these kinds of games. This wasn't his first double-double, but it was a career in scoring. One block, but he altered multiple shots tonight, a steal, an assist, a box score plus 28 in 28 minutes. So a big night for Trevor and Brazil to lead the way. The two leading scorers in the exhibition season are your two true freshman guards, and for a while Darius Acuff was the leading scorer in this game. He had 20 points at halftime. At the end of the first half, he really went off, shooting from three and getting buckets on runners and ones. And then Malik Thomas was on the court as both a setup guy, as a facilitator, getting some of his. He had 10 points at halftime, Acuff 20, and Arkansas had a 25-point lead, but Acuff finishes with 22 points, so kind of a quiet second half for him scoring the ball. Finished 8 of 13 from the field, 3 of 5 from three. You like to see that from Darius Acuff behind that arc. 3 of 3 at the foul line. As much as Arkansas struggled in the exhibition season at the line, he did shoot, I think, 5 of 6 also against Memphis. So making his free throws, 22 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, a steal, and a block shot. Darius had a game-high box score plus 35 in his 29 minutes. So a really good game tonight for Darius Acuff Jr. Malik Thomas, what can we say? He averaged 20.5 points to lead Arkansas in the exhibition season, was the leading scorer in both of those exhibition games each time out. Tonight, third in line, but over 20 points again, 21 points. He was efficient, 7 of 15 overall, 4 of 10 from three. That kind of volume, 40% at that volume is elite. So you're going to take that, and it gives you those Isaiah Joe vibes in terms of that quick trigger, how smooth he is, and how even on his misses, you think they might be going in. There's just not a lot of ugly balls falling off, clanking off that rim when he shoots it. 3 of 4 at the foul line, so 75% there. That's just fine. But everything else he does, game high matching 7 assists. DJ Wagner ended up with 7 assists as well. But Malik Thomas, 6 rebounds. That was third on the team tonight. We know that he led Arkansas in rebounding in the exhibition season. Here he is, another strong rebounding game at the guard spot. Game high 3 steals, a box score plus 20 in his 29 minutes. Malik Thomas playing off the bench. As we know, he's not been in the starting lineup, but he has been starting second halves. Calipari did it again tonight. 7 in the top of your top 8 rotation available. Carter knocks out. So out of those 7 players, everybody got to start, whether it was the beginning of the game or second half. And I think it was Ewan and Malik Thomas that started the second half. And Billy Richmond, the third, normally would be coming off the bench in the first half, starting the second half, but because Carter Knox was out, BR3 started both halves. But a really, again, strong night when you look at the production from Brazil, Acuff, and Malik Thomas. You had a 4th player in double figures tonight. How about Isaiah Seeley, the other freshman? So all 3 of your freshmen getting double figure scoring. The future looks really bright with Isaiah Seeley, his length, his athleticism. He's got a fearlessness attacking the paint. There was maybe a few ill-advised drives and shots he got into, but he does a little bit of everything. He's active out there, really good basketball IQ, good, he'll take a rebound and push the other way. He likes to get in transition. 12 points tonight, 3 of 6 shooting, 6 of 6 at the foul line. So he made all of his free throws on a night where Arkansas was really good. We're going to talk more team stuff in a little bit. But Seeley also contributed 3 rebounds, a couple of assists, a steal. He was a box score plus 6 in his 17 minutes. And with Knox out, he was kind of Arkansas's eighth guy tonight because he played in both halves, ended up with 17 minutes, like I said. And Calipari said, look, if Knox is not available for Michigan State, if he's not ready to go, Seeley's your eighth guy and probably going to play. And this is what we always said. He's your ninth guy. Not a game-to-game projectable scenario with him like it is the top eight. You know they're all playing every game if they're healthy. And what, their starter value 1 through 8, and that's just the kind of impact. We've said it for months. And that Seeley was that ninth guy, but could we really project a game-to-game minutes production and impact and all that? We couldn't. We never have, other than he's the next guy up. And we saw that tonight with Isaiah Seeley. DJ Wagner, after being really quiet offensively in the exhibition season, he got off to a fast start. He helped Arkansas after Southern scored the first basket of the game. It was 2-0. Arkansas went on a 10-0 run. And I think DJ had 5 points in that run, or he had 5 early. Hit a 3, had a drive to the basket, and had 5 early points. Struggled shooting the ball most of the rest of the way. He did hit a shot again later, another 3. Wagner, 3 of 11 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3. You'd like to see it better than that, but he did have 7 assists. Again, that matched, that was equal to what Malik Thomas did for Arkansas in the facilitating setup. 4 rebounds for DJ, a couple of steals, a block, a box plus 28. And he had a game-high 32 minutes. We know he led Arkansas in minutes played last year per game, and there you go again. Malik Ewan and Billy Richmond III each had 6 points. Ewan, he's always efficient, right? 2 of 3 from the field, made both free throws. I think it was 10 of 11 combined in free throw shooting in exhibition season. So he continued to show he's consistent at the foul line when he gets there. 4 rebounds, 3 of them on the offensive end. We know that in the first half. It seemed like there was one possession where he might have had a couple of offensive rebounds just on one possession. He did have a steal in 18 minutes, a box plus 10 for Malik. I thought there were times where he was flat-footed when Arkansas was on defense or even on offense. At times when there was a rebound to be had or just it looked like he was ball watching a little bit. So I think he's still getting acclimated to what's expected at times. Very talented player though, really good with the basketball on offense. Richmond, not the best night. 6 points, 2 of 4 from the field. Both of his misses were from 3. After going to hometown Memphis and going 2 of 3 at a game that didn't count, made both of his free throws. Again, Arkansas smoking hot at the line tonight after really struggling at the foul line in exhibition season. 6 points for Billy Richmond, 3 rebounds, an assist, a block, a box plus 10. He played 16 minutes. Elmer Zavich was got in the scoring column with a point and mop up time. Had a couple of turnovers. So when you look at Arkansas's turnover numbers, I said it earlier. 12-9, 2 of those came in the last couple of minutes, and they belonged to Elmer Zavich. Aside from that, and Arkansas might have also had another turnover there late when the game was over, but Arkansas did a good job taking care of the basketball. You got to think about that first half. Arkansas had 5 turnovers, which was pretty good at the pace the game was played. And for the longest time in the second half till the very end when it was really over, it was over, but you know what I mean? It was closer to the clock expiring is when Arkansas picked up some cheap turnovers. Did a good job there. And if you look at points off turnovers, +3 in turnovers, 12-9, but points off turnovers +9. More than doubling it up. Southern 16-7 there. Rebounds, Arkansas +8 overall. 45-37, so 45 boards. Calipari said he's got to go back and watch the tape. He said if we made 80 rebound attempts, meaning they try to get a rebound, you're not going to get all of them. There'll be nights when you get 80, 85 attempts and you might get 60, he said. Tonight you got 45. He needs to look at that. He said if he sees on watching tape and film review that they attempted to grab the rebound 80 times, then he's pleased. That's all he needs to see. Interesting take on that. Offensive rebounds, Arkansas +2 there, 14-12, so it's good to see Arkansas get on the offensive glass. But when you go back to the exhibition season, Cincinnati had 15 offensive rebounds. Memphis 10. Tonight, Southern with 12 offensive rebounds. So I still think, as much as teams are shooting and Arkansas is having success defending and keeping field goal percentages down, although tonight that wasn't the case, it was in the exhibition season. Yeah, there are going to be some long rebounds and second chance opportunities for opponents, but Arkansas still, to me, given up for a team that's added physicality and brought in strong rebounders and guys like Nick Pringle and Malik Ewan. You expect more from Arkansas, preventing teams from extending possessions. And again, I thought there were some missed opportunities on the defensive glass at times tonight. In a game you're blowing out, but still, you've kind of seen the same thing in exhibition season in this game where you're blowing everybody out. You're about to go play what Calipari said in the postgame presser is a football game. He said that's going to be a football game on the road against a ranked Michigan State team. Defending Big Ten champion, an Elite Eight team last year. Arkansas is going to play all 8 of the Elite Eight qualifiers from last season. You play Auburn twice. That means you got 9 games against 8 Elite Eight teams. Michigan State's the first one, true road game to cap off the first week of the college basketball season. Big games on opening night, by the way, including Florida and Arizona. The last I checked, there was about 40 seconds left. Arizona was up 2 or 3. So I'm not sure what the outcome was on that one. All right, so let's go through some more here. We went through the individual stats. We're going through some of the team stuff. Second chance points, Southern actually +1, 17-16. So again, that goes back to the offensive glass. Arkansas was +2 there, but Southern actually +1 in the second chance opportunities. Bench scoring was pretty close tonight, 40-35. Remember, Arkansas was down a player that normally starts. You had to bring one of your normal bench players into that starting lineup. But you were able to play Isaiah Seeley, and he was really your leading scorer. He doubled him. His 12 points were the same, equal to you and Billy Richmond III combined. Arizona won by 6. Thank you for the comment. All right, maybe I'll do better with comments if anybody wants to chime in. I know Hog fans are excited about that, but that was number 3 Florida against number 13 Arizona. It was a neutral site. In fact, it was closer to where Arizona its campus is than it was Florida. It was played out in Las Vegas, and so I guess celebrate the preseason SEC predicted champ losing tonight, but Arkansas is going to go get a real test soon enough, and so enjoy this blowout win. But hard to knock Florida too much right now in a game like that. The way I see it, points to paint I mentioned, Arkansas +20, and then +30 in fast break scoring. That's been the story really for me in preseason. Now again in game 1 of the regular season is just dominating the interior play at both ends for the most part, and part of that equation is getting out and running. And even the secondary transition, which I keep referring to, Arkansas's got some real advantages. When you can attack the paint, you don't need to wait and get into a predicted offense. Pete is a monster. Koa Pete, yeah, I covered Koa Pete in Little Rock. He came and played at the Real Deal in the Rock just after his freshman season of high school, I believe, or he was going into his freshman season. And he was a man-child then. Koa Pete is a beast. I didn't see his stats. He's a freshman at Arizona. He's a Corliss Williamson kind of impact. Just built like a rock, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", in that range, and can just dominate a game physically. Gets to really good finishing angles, good in transition, just a good, smart player on the, if you want to say an undersized, sometimes post player. I don't know how Arizona used him tonight, but he can really take games over. But you get back to, again, Arkansas, so much of what Arkansas does well, from A to Z in the lineup, is just driving into that paint and then really putting pressure on defenders. And I think that's what Arkansas has got to continue to do. You took 26 threes tonight. Now in a game where you're running away with it and everybody's having fun and getting in the flow, okay, but Arkansas finishes 37 of 73. Pete had 30. Yeah, Pete's tough, man. And that's going against that Florida front line, by the way, with all those studs back. And I'm sure my guess is, I think probably the most versatile big that in Florida's got a really good front line is Tommy Howell. He probably had a big game, or at least one of those 4 front liners for Florida probably had a big game. I would guess Howell. Heard Boogie said Florida is more like family. Yeah, well, I mean, game 1, and they played a real opponent away from home. It was a neutral site game, so I'm not going to bang on Florida too much. There's not a lot. You lose by 6 in a neutral site game like that. There's no shame in that. We'll see what Florida's made of. But Koa Pete, since like you went off, let's talk about the Hogs. So again, I keep trying to say that, make the point where whatever the strength is, you got to play to it. I thought Arkansas did for the most part. 37 of 73 from the field, overall field goal shooting, 50.7%. They shot better than that in the exhibition games, but part of that was they chucked up 26 3-point attempts. They were 6 of 10 at halftime from three. So in the second half, they were 4 of 16, 25%. That brought all the numbers down. Arkansas finishes 35.7% shooting from three. That's okay. I just think in a game like this, it probably didn't matter. I think Arkansas, if Arkansas is stuck on the road against a Michigan State team that's not letting Arkansas have its way, and they take 25 or more threes, Arkansas might be in trouble. The only argument and counterpoint to that is, well, if guys like Malik Thomas and Acuff and others are shooting lights out, you might, that. But again, I think Arkansas's got to stay in the wheelhouse, get to the paint, get to the basket, get to the free throw line. The free throw line, they did great getting there. Volume throughout the exhibition season, but they didn't make them, right? They were in the 60s shooting. You can't do that. I said in the pregame that I put out last night, it was out today as well. One of my points was, this is going to be a blowout win. It should be. But Arkansas, one thing I'm looking at is they're going to get to the foul line. What are they going to do? They got to get better there. You go on the road, again, you're going to be in tight games. It might be this Saturday where you're down to the wire. You got to step to the line and either protect a lead or get back in the game or whatever you have to do. You got to make free throws. Tonight, Arkansas, 17 of 18 at halftime, 94+%. They finished this game, the Razorbacks, 25 of 29. The volume was insane. The conversion percentage was insane, 88.2%. Yes, that's what Arkansas needs. Malik looking good on defense. He makes a lot of plays on defense. Malik Thomas does. We're going to talk about that because we went through the stats, but we need to talk about what it means. Southern ends up a respectable 27 of 69 from the field. 39.1% is not that great, but that's better than either Cincinnati or Memphis shot against Arkansas. So relative to better quality teams, this team actually shot better, but 12 of 27 from three, 44.4%. I thought Arkansas got lost on defense. Some of it was secondary transition for Southern, where they found the guy open, and Arkansas the defenders weren't getting back in good assignment integrity. They just weren't. They were slow to get where they needed to be. Some of it, there was an inbound play. Arkansas got a blocked shot at the end of a shot clock. I think it was in the first half, and possession arrow stayed with Southern, so they had an underneath the basket inbounds play with about 3.9 seconds left on the clock. And they had a couple of inbounds plays that hurt Arkansas in the first half, even though the lead was up there. You watch these kind of things. How's Arkansas on inbound, out of bounds plays underneath the basket? They had struggled a little bit in the first half. But that one play I just described, and they were inbounding late in the shot clock, entry pass, one pass, and then you get a good look on a corner three, and the closeout results in a foul. And so Arkansas fouls a three-point shooter, 4-point play, that kind of stuff, man. It starts to add up. Arkansas had some careless turnovers in the first half. The good news is they only had 5 at the break and only 9 in this game, so you really can't complain about turnovers other than two or three of them were just, and those are things, again, when you're on a low turnover night, you're not going to really nitpick too much there. Arkansas had 6 and 7 blocks in the preseason exhibition game, 6 and 8, and average 7 per game. Tonight, only 4. But Arkansas was +1 in the block department. Gafford having a game. Well, that's good to hear. He had his season debut a couple of nights ago in Mexico City. They lost to Detroit. Gafford was in the starting lineup of season debut. He's been dealing with an injury. He's finished with 7 points, 2 of 3 from the field, 3 of 3 at the foul line. So he did a good job in his opportunities. Had 3 or 4 rebounds, a couple of assists, and a box score +1 in a 12-point loss. And I think he only played 17 minutes, so they're trying to, control his minutes a little bit. So I haven't looked at any of the NBA stuff for the Pro Hogs tonight. I'll check that out when we get off here. I'm Kevin McPherson. This is HogvilleNET Hoops. This is the first time I've been live. I don't have my new setup because the laptop, for whatever reason in Bud Walton Arena, is not accepting the Wi-Fi stuff here. So wasn't not able to use the laptop tonight. I'm back on my phone. So we're doing a live this way, old school, like you guys have known. I've done it forever. Here's something else that hurt Southern tonight, and I think this was a problem for Arkansas. 24 free throw attempts. That's bad. Arkansas had some bad fouls, gave up some easy scores too, and just kind of got out of the way a few times. I didn't understand that with this team, but 11 of 24 for Southern at the line. They couldn't make them. It was a team that last year shot 66% from the foul line, and they stunk tonight. 11 of 24 just over 45%, just garbage. If you make a strong percentage there, you're still losing by 20-something points. But, Arkansas's got some things it needs to correct. I think this team has the makings of a potential top 10 defensive rating team. And I said recently that the offense maybe could be a top 25 offense when you look at efficiency ratings through KenPom anyway, when the dust settles this season. But right now, the offense is ahead of the defense, in my opinion. Even though the defense was pretty dominant statistically, when you look at shooting percentages for Cincinnati and Memphis, and when you dominate it's big by these big margins in the paint, it means you're kind of controlling the interior play. But also, I think there's some problem areas for Arkansas. Tonight, it was defending the three. They continue to give up double digits in offensive rebounds. That's a concern for me. They need to, against some of these opponents, they need to put their foot down and maybe dominate a little bit more on that glass. And then I thought again that the absence of Carter Knox. Now, if you look at the two exhibition games, it was Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff leading you with all these stats and points, scoring, those kinds of things. And Carter was just really efficient, got in double digits scoring in both games. But what he did is he led Arkansas in box score plus minus in both games. They were game highs. He wasn't out there tonight. So to me, when he's on the court, Arkansas is just better. And I think a lot of that shows up defensively. He's physical. He's in the right spots defensively. And he just is that one guy that to me makes a big difference for Arkansas at both ends of the court because he takes good shots. He's efficient on offense, but on defense, he's one of Arkansas's better defenders. He's not necessarily the energy guy that we like to throw out there about Billy Richmond III. He's getting a bunch of steals and maybe some blocks, and you see Malik Thomas making plays defensively, and he's got a chance to be a really good defender because he makes a lot of plays, he gets a lot of steals. Yeah, there's some gambling in there, but he hasn't been burned too often. I think some of his perimeter defense on shooting needs to get better. His timing and the steps that he takes and the gaps that he sometimes leaves. But man, on-ball defender when someone's trying to handle, he is a beast, man. He gets up in you, he gets deflections, he anticipates really well. But I think Carter Knox's absence tonight played into some of these numbers looking good for Southern shooting the ball minus the free throw line. And so, I think Knox being out impacted. You win by 32 and you led by 37. You're like, how is there a negative there? Well, you could just see things sometimes. Believe me, Calipari, he went to the negatives immediately. I opened up the questioning in the postgame presser once he sat down. I tweeted out his comments. And I went to the positive side, points in the paint and fast break dominance, and he went to the negative. Well, we got things we got to work on. He went into some of the stuff we talked about, the three-point defense. Again, fouling and putting them at the line. Arkansas only shot 5 more free throws than this team. So as good as Arkansas was getting the line and making them, good fortune had it that the other team was just horrible making free throws, but they got there a lot. But let's go through again some of the individuals. I think TB, and what I keep saying is I go through it again, opportunistic scorer until this season and this summer. And now he's getting that ball, putting it on the deck, driving in, and he's another weapon getting from perimeter to paint and making defenses really get them out of sorts because they got to deal with him or somebody else that he might pass to. And with him, he's going to try to get to that rim, but just a different player now. I think he's adding shot creation when you're able to just drive in, even if it's a straight line drive and you're not crossing dudes up and look at all the polish. It's not about that with him. But he's got some relative quickness at 6'10" with a 7'4" wingspan. We know he can jump out of the gym, and he's just aggressive. He wants it. And you see it with some of the rebounds. You see when he, whether he's blocking shots or altering them, he's just making really good basketball plays for the most part. Very aggressive tonight. Darius Acuff Jr. turned on the offense. We see what he's capable of. He's a really good offensive player. In the exhibition season, we saw maybe a couple of pull-up jumpers against Cincinnati. Not much of that. He missed all 4 3 attempts against Memphis. All 6 of his made field goals were getting to the rim layups. Tonight, we saw little runners. We saw him just barely miss a fade on the baseline on a pull-up. Maybe an ill-advised shot there, but it's one he can make. But he had some nice runner work, got some and one opportunities. 3 of 5 from 3 again, made all of his free throws. So he's a really good offensive player. He had a couple of dimes late. He was stuck on 2 assists for the longest time. But part of that was he just was scoring at will. I mean, he got 20 points at halftime. Defensively, still very much a work in progress. He did get a block tonight. He did get a steal, but Acuff. But Malik Thomas, man, the 6 rebounds, he gets on both offense and defensive glass. I mentioned the 7 assists, the 3 steals. He just keeps making plays on the defensive end. This is the second game in a row. I know we don't count the exhibition against Memphis or Cincinnati, where he's led the team in steals. In the first game that he hasn't led in rebounds or tied for the lead, but he's still among your top 2 or 3 rebounders. And I said in the last episode of these that I did a couple of days ago that he's got a chance, if he maintains what he did in preseason, not only to be Arkansas's leading scorer, but maybe the team's leading rebounder. And you can't wipe that possibility away. I said I don't think he will be the leader on the glass, but man, he's going to be up there at the top of the charts off the guard spot. I mean, he and Acuff are the team's 2 most talented offensive players, bar none. There's zero doubt about that. Everybody else has 1 or 2 flavors. These 2 guys have 3, 4, 5 flavors in the bag. They really do. And you saw Malik tonight. There were a few possessions in that first half where he over-dribbled, spinning one way, working his man. And, in a game like this, it doesn't really matter, but just butter on the shot, man. Fading away, knocking down little 14, 15-footers. It's not that he can't make those shots. It's just that you don't really want a steady diet of that in your offense. Even though he's capable of getting on a heater, you want him to really buy into the catch and shoots, the one dribble. We ran through a play that he did in Hot Springs on my last episode. Now I can show video and talk about it, where he set DJ Wagner up on a high screen option. DJ got off balance, kind of leaning that way, and Malik made him pay with one dribble, moving right, and pull up 3. Arkansas doesn't really have players that can execute that quickly in that little bit of space, and guys trying to close and help. He's that guy. That's NBA talent. So it's all there. It's just the minimal stuff is what you want to ride with. But tonight he threw in some of the stuff I saw him do in high school, a little over dribbling, but it's fancy and he looks good. And there wasn't much they could do with him in some of those opportunities. And again, he didn't end up shooting a ton of wild shots or taking too many. 15 shot attempts, made 7. That's just fine. Acuff, 13 shot attempts, made 8, even better. And Malik ends up shooting more than anybody. 15 attempts, TB 14, Acuff 13. TB had a night. He really dominated an undersized team, but that doesn't matter. You don't knock anybody for the double-double in a career high, because you have to have the right mindset to be in attack mode and to go get it. And I thought Trevor in Brazil did that tonight. Arkansas with 23 assists. I can't believe I waited this long to say that. On 37 made field goals. You see the ball moving. We talked about DJ and Malik Thomas each with 7 assists. You had Acuff with 4, not too shabby. He was Arkansas's leading assist guy in the exhibition season, right? Averaging 5.5 to only 1 turnover. And so, those 3 were probably the guys that really got off the ball to help teammates. I thought Isaiah Seeley made some really good passes as well tonight. He's offensively, when the ball's in his hands, if he's not trying to do too much, he can really make things happen. It's just a world of growth he needs playing off the ball, defensively. And Calipari has said it multiple times. He's just not where everybody else is right now, but he's coming, and he's working on it. And there's a point in time where he's going to get there. And if it's this season, then Arkansas's truly 1 through 9 quality. It's not that he's lack of quality. It's just it's not necessarily dependable game in and game out, and what you really need when it's a game on the line. In a game like this tonight, he showed off some of his goodies. I still think guys are making adjustments. Nick Pringle didn't even go through him statistically. I wrote him down and skipped right over it. He had a good game. Started tonight, played 24 minutes. He didn't play a lot in exhibition season because he stayed in foul trouble. 4 of 7 from the field. With Nick, it's dunks and layups, getting offensive rebounds, dunking lob passes behind the defense, that kind of thing. So Pringle, 8 points, 4 of 7 from the field. He also had 8 rebounds, so that was second on the team behind TB, 8 and 8. You love to see that. And a box plus 24 in his 25 minutes. He played 25 minutes, box score plus 24. So I thought a good game for Nick Pringle. He does things defensively, offensively with his physicality and just knowing where to be that helps shore things up. Whether he's a big stat guy or not, that's not as important. You need guys like him to help your other guys thrive and have more success in their shot taking and making, because he's a great teammate and plays the right way. Calipari talks about that. We can do a lot with him, especially his defensive versatility, switching out on guards. You know, we've talked about that for a while, and you see it when he's able to stay on the court for an extended period of time and really give Arkansas a boost, bringing what he does well to the table. You know, individually, again, I don't have a lot of complaints tonight other than collectively, again, some of the things that we talked about. When you win 109, 77, 32 points, you're saying, are you nitpicking? I don't think so. I think Arkansas needs to be better in multiple areas going into this road game against Michigan State. And if they're not good, locked in defensively on the perimeter, even if they're having a lot of success in the paint, and then, who knows about transition? Who knows if Arkansas is going to be able to play at the pace that it has been able to do so far? Let's not forget, the road game against Memphis, there wasn't a hostile environment. It was about half and half the fans. I was there, and it was a feel-good for Calipari coming back to Memphis. It was just not a raucous, adverse environment for Arkansas. Yes, it was away from home. Yes, it was in the road game, but it didn't feel like a road atmosphere in terms of how a crowd can really get on you. And it's a better team, Michigan State. It's a ranked team. This will be more adversity than Arkansas has faced yet. And you say, well, what are they've only played one game. Well, they played 5 different opportunities in October. Yeah, it was exhibition season. And again, Memphis technically, I guess, was a road game, but this is going to be just like Baylor was last year. Don't forget, Arkansas played Baylor at a neutral site in Dallas. I was at that game. Arkansas trailed basically coast to coast. They were close. They got close. Several double-digit deficits, but not too far out of range where they couldn't get back in it. And they tied it once late in the game and ended up losing by 3 or 4. But Baylor, it felt like, was in control most of that game. And Arkansas, we know last year, the problem areas and what they struggled with, there's going to be some of that. As good as this team can be, they don't know exactly how good they are yet. And you still got true freshmen. Now, this is going to be, do they have the nerve? Do they have the nerve to be as confident and play as well as they have so far? They're both going to be tested. A guy like Trevor Brazile, is he able to keep this up and be consistent? He's been consistent since the summer, when he was Arkansas's top player when he came out of June and July, and continued to make strides. And now we're seeing it in the exhibition season through tonight. But this is going to be a big test for him. Do you have Carter Knox back? That's going to really, again, I think he establishes, he kind of sets things at both ends. It sets the table for what the best you can be, and the box score plus minuses when Carter Knox on the floor account for that. Is he going to be available? Is he going to be fully healthy if he does play? Calipari says if you can't practice, if you're not ready to go, it doesn't help us if you play. We go without him. So we're keeping an eye on his situation. DJ Wagner, he's due, right? The exhibition season, he didn't take a lot of shots. He wasn't particularly offensively locked in. I think it's glaring sometimes, the difference in the offensive gifts that guys like Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas have when you compare it to the rest of Arkansas's roster. Not that they're not good players, not that Darius isn't capable of giving you, 10 to 15 points on any given night, and on some nights maybe 20. But DJ, tonight he did several things against this level of competition. He started off again pretty hot. Brazile is a special Anthony Davis special. Oh, okay. All right. That's an opinion. He has some similarities in some of the things that he does. It's a stretch though, comparing him as the overall player talents right now, or maybe ever. But TB's definitely got some things he can do. He's starting blocking shots out on the perimeter. That's an Anthony Davis special, and we saw that in the exhibition season. TB will challenge some shots out there. But going back to DJ, I think this is a game where, you got a mostly freshman backcourt with DJ. And DJ may have to have his best game when you look at tonight and add in the 2 exhibition games. so far for Arkansas to find a way. Carter Knox, DJ Wagner, Billy Richmond III, Trevor Brazile, Nick Pringle, those are your best defenders. Malik Thomas is close to being in that group. He's getting steals. He forces dead ball turnovers by getting into players and they dribble it out of bounds. I mean, he's all over the place, diving for 50-50 balls, chasing down defensive and offensive. He's everywhere. But there's some assignment integrity that he loses as well. So there is some trade-off. I don't think he's as fundamentally sound defensively yet. He's a true freshman as some of these other guys, but man, he's aggressive. And he's not lost. It's not like he's lost on defense and getting just killed when he's not, flashing a passing lane and getting a steal or getting a deflection and getting a steal. All that playmaking is great, but it's sometimes, Mason Jones led Arkansas in steals. He was one of the leading scorers in the country, right? And had those 9 30-plus point games that year. EPM, Patrick Melsman's first year, I think he led Arkansas in rebounding, maybe in assists, but he led them in steals. Not a great defender, not really a good one, to be honest. But he was that guy that took some chances and read, high floor IQ, so he'd get some steals, I'm not trying to bang on Mason Jones. I'm making a point. But I think Malik Thomas is a better athlete than Mason. And I think his defensive instincts are really good. And Arkansas's got a chance where if things come together, you want that defense to show up in this road game against Michigan State. I can tell you that. Tonight, the effort to me was a mixed bag, and I just felt like the second half Southern Arkansas didn't do much. I mean, it expanded the lead, but a lot of that was just Arkansas having more bullets than this Southern team when you look at talent and ability. But Southern got a lot, whether it was off second chance or shooting threes. Some of it was getting out in transition. Some of it was Arkansas kind of flat-footed, ball watching, waving as guys go in and get a layup. I mean, there was some of that tonight. You need that cleaned up this week before you get into East Lansing and have that big road game against a ranked Michigan State team. Arkansas really is a ranked team. I mentioned the Baylor game last year. Both teams were ranked. Arkansas loses that one. And Arkansas, I think, then had some bye games, some wins there. And then you're at a neutral site again against Illinois. You lose that game, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if that was enough to knock Arkansas out of the rankings. It probably was. I'm trying to recall who else and what else happened. But Arkansas, you got to start winning some of these games in November. As tough as it's going to be, because you don't want to just stay ranked. You want to climb. Yeah, you want to play your best basketball at the end of the year, but you've got the makings here to be a really good team from start to finish. And it's not going to be easy. And you might lose that game, and it doesn't sink your season. It doesn't say, if you lose, you're going to identify things you need to get better at. Even if you win, you're going to identify things you need to improve. And it's no promise of what's to come later, win or lose. But you want to see Arkansas say, okay, all this retention mattered, all this talent we built. Calipari's been bragging about it. Anybody that's covered it, other members of that staff, they all feel like this team can be special. Well, this is the first opportunity to go prove it. Tonight's game doesn't count. We've seen pretty mediocre Arkansas teams blow out opponents like this. The exhibition season's promising, but we've also seen that lie to us, right, in recent years. This is the game. It counts. It's a road game against a ranked team, the Big Ten defending champs, Elite Eight, coming off an Elite Eight. That's the kind of game you want to make a statement. Fox TV, another early start, 6 p.m. Central Time, nationally televised game. Go win that game, Arkansas. And we're going to talk about it all week. There's stuff that I missed here, probably rushing through this, even though we're almost 45 minutes in, that I'll pick back up on later. But I want to thank everybody for being here tonight on HogvilleNET Hoops. This was a live edition. It was my reaction show. Arkansas 109, 1-0 on the season. Southern 77, defending SWAC champ. Okay, you could throw that in there. Team coming off a 21 season. Until next time, appreciate all of you. Thanks for being here. Take care of yourselves. We will see you soon.